Hey guys, so we're going to talk about the last formula here, which is the future value formula, future value of an annuity. Really, really similar to the present value formula, just the numerators are a little bit opposite, all right? So we are going to try this formula out with a specific problem down here and see how it goes. So let's paste that here. So FV is the future value of your investment, okay? So usually, like here we're going to talk about a retirement account, but it doesn't have to be a retirement account. It could be anything where you're investing and you have an interest rate that's either, you can find the average interest rate or a constant one that, depending on, like certain savings accounts will have, just a steady interest rate. P is the principal amount deposited each period. I is the interest rate, and again, if you're doing it more than once a year, if you're depositing more than once a year, you want to divide by 12. My husband, for example, deposits just one lump sum at the end of the year or right before he does his taxes into his retirement account, whereas mine gets taken out of my paycheck, so it happens every 2 weeks. And N is the number of periods we're going to leave that money in there for. So, in this problem, I invest $250 in my retirement account every paycheck, which is every 2 weeks. And from that, I get an interest rate of on average 3%. Let's see, if I invest for the next 30 years, how much money will I end up with, right, when I'm 62? So we're looking for then the future value. That's how much money I'll end up with. So let's fill in everything else. So P is the principal. So that's the $250 that I'm putting in every single time. And then, again, we're going to get this big fraction here. 1, oops, that's not a 1. 1 plus I, and I is the rate over the number of periods. So rate per period. So, well, 3% would be 0.03 divided by, and if I get a paycheck every 2 weeks, most years, unless it's a wonky year with an extra week somehow, then it's going to be 26 paychecks. So 26 there. And then that is raised to the n power. So n is the number of periods. So again, 26, but times 30 years, right? That's a lot of $250 deposits. And then we're going to take away 1 from that. So it's a little different than the present value formula, because before we were doing 1 minus that whole fraction, or that whole exponential expression there. So now we're doing that expression minus 1. And then I is what you're dividing by on the bottom. So 0.03 divided by 26. All right. So let's do some calculations. Again, I would strongly suggest using that pink calculator there, calculator 84. Let's clear that out so we can start fresh. So we are going to start. The last thing I'm going to do is multiply by the 250. First, I want to figure out everything in the parentheses. So I'm going to start with the top. 1 plus 0.03 divided by 26. That's raised to the 26 times 30 power. And then this whole thing is, we're going to do minus 1, that whole answer, right? So that's the first step. Again, a little bit easier than the one we did with the present value formula, which you could do more all at once like this. Just have to be careful of your parentheses. And then here we want to divide that answer by, and in parentheses I'm going to do 0.03 divided by 26. So we get 1,263.88, and that's multiplied by 250. So in theory, if I deposit $250 every 2 weeks for the next 30 years, I will end up with $315,970.92. So it's good to look out for your retirement, right? Because you want to be able to live off that money and not actually be getting a salary. So it's important to have a little nest egg. And if you can afford it, it's a good investment. All right. So use the pink calculator to your advantage, the Calculate 84, because it'll give you a lot of options to enter it in. And you just want to try and keep those numbers as exact as possible. All right.